Welcome to the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast with your host, Julie C. Butler. If you're looking to build the business of your dreams, then this is the space you want to be in. Join Julie as she talks about ways that you can successfully scale your profitable dream business, one that will give you ultimate time freedom and the abundant lifestyle you deserve. Julie will take you by the hand, sharing with you her business savvy strategies as she chats it up with her favorite online entrepreneurs. You'll get a weekly dose of boosted confidence as you learn as they reveal their insight, tips, and tools that you need to start building a profitable dream business of your own, one that you'll love and that works for you on autopilot.
Hello, and welcome back to the BBB podcast. Today, we have Samantha Burmeister on with us. Sam writes really freaking good copy for service providers. She uses her background in sales to help turn your sales process into a hands-off, high-conversion experience. Hi, Samantha. How are you? I'm so glad we connected today. And we had quite like a 20-minute conversation before we actually hit the record button.
I know, when you and I get on the phone, it's just chit chat all the way.
I know. And just like when you jive with someone, you just jive with someone, right?
100%.
Yeah.
But I'm super stoked for the rest of our conversation.
I know. Me too, because I think that, copy is one of those things that is so important in all aspects of our business. And without it, we don't have a business really, because we use it in every single thing that we do, whether it's social media, website, emails, like just all of it, right? So it's so important. And I love that we're going to talk about that today. How copy helps you tap into your business abundance. And I'm all about abundance. I love that. But before we get started, I'd love for you to tell the listeners a little bit about your story.
Yeah, sure thing. So my name is Sam. I'm the founder and lead copywriter at Nomad Copy Agency. That's the canned response, right? But Nomad Copy Agency was born from me building my business while I was traveling full time. My career previously was in sales. My degrees are in marketing and international business. And I always knew that I wanted to travel full time while working. My corporate career wasn't lending to that. I wasn't on a path where I was going to be able to either work remotely or get one of those cool travel jobs, where somebody's jetting off in business class to Paris headquarters, and that's just not where I was. So I soaked up as much sales knowledge as I could over my almost decade in various parts of the sales world. I worked in tech, I worked in finance. And I really got good at taking these complex things like tech and finance and boiling them down, not just so that people understood what it was that I was selling, but understood it to a degree that they were like, holy heck, I need this. And that's what I got really good at. While I was doing that, I was travel blogging because I was traveling a lot in my personal time. I had the standard 15 days of PTO that most American corporate employees get, if that. Yet in my first 5 years of being a corporate employee, I visited 28 new to me countries. So I was doing the darn thing. I started travel blogging. When I decided to go off on my own, I started reaching out to my entrepreneur friends and I was like, I don't know what entrepreneurship looks like for me, but you know my work, you know that I write, you know that I sell, what do you need in your businesses? And everyone was like, can you write for me? And that looked like a lot of things for a few years. That was, blogging and SEO. And eventually I found sales pages and websites and really got into the copy and sales aspect of things and was really able to leverage my strengths. And that was all back in the 2018, 2019 timeframe. Obviously, there have been some global challenges since then that have hindered both
stuff.
that have hindered both travel and work a little bit. But I ultimately came out on the other side of it, starting really beginning of 2020, where I fell into the copywriting stuff. And I think that my life experience as well as my work experience really lends to me being able to translate other people's expertise into super solid sales copy.
I love that. I love that. And I think maybe that's what we have in common, because I used to be a travel agent. And so I traveled a lot. And so me and you could probably talk like all day about the different places we've been and not been, and or the places we want to go. So I think that's really cool. That's so awesome. And I love that, because I think that, you know, we have to write for all of these website pages and emails and social media and all the things, right? And but it's not just writing, like there's psychology that goes behind it, right?
Mhm.
And so it's so important now and more that, you know, our brand messaging is more on point, and you can't just tell people to buy something. Like there's
Yeah.
science behind it, and there's a formula. And so without the formula, or the, you know, then it can be very difficult for us to sell our stuff.
Mhm.
So I think that copywriters are gold and needed, so
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah.
And so I love that. And I mean, you know what I love best too is I love that, well, and the first thing is that we can actually hire you to write the copy for us and all the things. But like you, I know that you also have templates that we can buy. So if we're
Mhm.
just looking for, you know, a quick, oh, I need a welcome sequence or something like that, let's go to Samantha's shop and see, and then the template is there, and then you can make it your own. So I love that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I want to like highlight something that you said real quick. Sorry to cut you off, but
no,
you
go.
said that it's so important with the messaging to make sure that you stand out. And there's so much talk right now about the economy, no matter what country you're in. I feel like that's always the conversation, is the economy or whatever. But no matter what's going on globally, it's super important to stand out. But being able to differentiate yourself from the competition and being able to control the narrative around your brand is what's going to carry you through, either whether it's a saturated market in your microeconomy or on a like more global level if you're competing with other people at different price points in different countries. Like no matter where you're from, who your target market is, it's that standout factor that's going to set you apart from the competition, and it's going to carry you through those hard times. So I just wanted to be sure that I like highlighted that, because I think that's such a conversation right now, is like our words are competing not only with other people, but with computers' ability to generate them for us. And that's a huge part of the conversation. And it's like, ultimately, you have to have a really solid copy to help you stand out no matter what's going on.
Yeah, you know, I like the computer version of, you know, that thing that's going on as well. However, it does not speak me. It does
Right.
not talk the way Julie talks. And
Mhm.
so I'm not that I'm struggling with it, but I definitely would not rely on it to write a website page for me, or, you know, or something, or an email, because it
Mhm.
doesn't speak Julie. So I think that also remaining authentic to ourselves and true to ourselves, and the way that we are and the way you talk to your friends is also very important. And you can't get
Mhm.
that out of robots.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And you know, we're talking a lot about abundance here, and it's like you have to have abundance in every area. I think so often we're like, oh, financial abundance equals scalable income. And it's kind of like that's so much and a very important part of the entrepreneurial abundance conversation. But you also have to feel abundant, and that there are unlimited possibilities for you. And if you're finding that within AI tools and it is saving you time and it does feel abundant and it's giving you ideas that you can work from, that's great. And I think at the end of the day, we have to remember that it's a tool, whether we like it or reject
Cool.
it or not. Like no matter where you fall in that, it's like it's not going anywhere. And that, you know, it just comes down to your personal feelings on how you want to use that tool. And I think that's something that's being left out of the conversation with it, is that it can be, it's not always, but it can be a time-saving tool to create abundant time resources. It can be an idea generating tool to expand your thoughts and be abundant in that way. I think it's really interesting the way that everything's going around that.
True. And I guess it's kind of like that, the thing, right? Like you get the instructions on how to do it, and then you can either go and try and do it yourself, or you can, right? So it's, again, it's being true to ourselves and going the way authentically the way we want to go and what works for us and what doesn't work for us. So I love that point of view. Actually, I love that. So let's start with this. So what is copy and how does it help you scale your impact?
Yeah. So sometimes the easiest way to talk about what copy is to talk about what copy is not. So I always think of it as a Venn diagram, and on one side there's copy, on the other side there's content. And I always say that copy is written for people and content is written for computers. And what I mean by that is content tends to be the things that the internet is going to scrub and search for, and that is going to be your content. For example, podcast descriptions and blogs and social media captions and some of your website content. And that's kind of where that gray area in the middle is. But ultimately, if you're typing in Julie Butler, OBM, whatever, like it's going to be scrubbing the internet for that data and it's going to pull up your website. But then when people land on your website, that's truly copy, because copy is written for people. And I'm going to land on your website and I'm going to say, oh my gosh, this woman understands the concepts of putting the right systems in place to create an abundant business. Like that's going to speak to me. That's where I'm going to take action as a human interacting with your page. So then that copy side is website, the words that go on your website. It's the words that go on your sales pages, in your emails, anything that is encouraging a human to take action is copy. So that's the first part of your question, which I know is kind of.
I love that definition though. Like that's so good. I was like, because sometimes it's like we're talking about something, but do everybody really know what it means?
Right. Yeah. And the other like funny thing is we hear about copywriting, like from a legal standpoint, like trademarks and copyrights. And it's funny because every couple of months I'll have someone reach out and be like, I think I want to copyright my product. And I'm like, not in the right place. I'm so sorry. That is there's a whole different, same word. You're on the right track. I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, way different job description here.
Yeah. But then, so your second question, part of that question was like, so how do you use copy to like be abundant in your business? And this is where we start talking about scalability and systems, and copywriting goes hand in hand with so much of what people are already doing in their businesses. So if you were to reach out to every person who opted into your free thing or had a consultation call, let's use the consultation call, for example, and then remember in your own brain to send them 3 reminders, one an hour before, one 24 hours before, one a week before, and then you follow up with them and you say, thank you so much. Here's a resource that you can use. And then they end up on your mailing list. If you were to be sending all of those things manually, it gets to be a lot. Well, then we start looking at how can you leverage your website to avoid those sales calls in the first place, because it's selling to people before you ever get them on a call. And there's nothing wrong with having a sales call as part of your process, especially for custom programs. But in theory, right, like if you have low ticket items that you want to be scalable and passive income, you want your website to sell them for you, and you want people to opt into your thing, and you want them to stay engaged on your email list, and you want them to purchase from being in your email list and start monetizing that and put funnels and systems in place, all of that is going to have copy on it. And no funnel is perfect when you first put it into place. So there's a lot that goes into, okay, but is this system confusing, et cetera? But oftentimes it's editing that copy to make sure that that copy is optimized so that your numbers are, that it's selling for you, whether it starts with an ad or a freebie or a personal interaction. All of that copy is speaking on your behalf and therefore saving you the time and therefore creating a bit of passivity in your business where you do the work one time and it continues to work for you.
Right. And so in your opinion, having said that, because it's a lot of work, like doing your own copy, like I always procrastinate at it and I wait till the very last minute to do whatever copy project I have to be done. But that being said, so for example, if you like have a sales page for a program or, and you've done the copy, you've tweaked it, it's like good. how often do you think that we have to revise it in order to make it up to date? Do you know what I mean? Like, I know it's maybe hard to answer because we don't know what's going to happen in 6 months, in a year, in 2 years or whatever, but generally like a good rule of thumb.
Yeah. So if you had a sales page for a program, I would say what's more important than looking at the copy is looking at the data behind that page. And if all of a sudden that page isn't converting, if there's less visitors to that page in the first place, then that's a lead gen issue, or that's an ads issue,
Yes, yeah.
or that's something else. So I think what comes first is looking at the data, because I have worked with people and I have a membership, it's called Copy on Demand, and people are constantly let me finish that thought. With Copy on Demand, people get access to me once a week to look at a piece of their copy. I give them advice on what to change and they go do it. So it's not done for you copy, it's having my brain in their back pocket.
Yeah.
And something that I see, and I have to encourage people after a while, is like the constant tweaking of like, I just don't love this line. I just, I'm back on my about page 2 months later because this isn't resonating with me. And it's like, sometimes done is better than perfect. And I don't want to see people get into the trap of the constantly tweaking, because then you're just kind of creating a job for yourself. So you either create something and love it, or outsource it and love it, or decide that it can wait. So there's no real rule of thumb of like, oh, you should evaluate it every so often. But for me, I take the last 2 months of each half off. So typically the last couple weeks of the year, and then honestly, usually the last week of June, not the full last 2 weeks, but I tell myself I'm not going to work, but then I end up having all these ideas and there's beautiful things born from that time. But those are the times that I set aside to say, okay, then 2 weeks before that, what I need to do, so first week of June, first week of December, is evaluate my systems, see what's working, see what worked last year, see how if it's new, see how it's comparing to other lead gens and emails and sales pages. And that's when it's time to go in and tweak. Because if I were to go in, I could spend, it's what I do for a living, right? Is I spend time tweaking websites and making websites. So
I know.
Spend all the time in the world. So I think what's more important is just having the data understanding and that personal boundary around how often you're editing your copy.
I love it. And I think that what you said is so important, because data needs to become our best friend, right? Like everything is in the data. And so I think that, getting good at understanding your data behind all the things in our business will make a huge difference. I love that. Okay. So I know we were getting a little bit off track there. I'm like, that's like, we're talking about data now. That's a whole nother conversation.
I know, like, hi, I'm a copywriter. Don't look at me first. Look at them. Like, look at your data.
I love that. Okay. Mindset and copy. So how to write about yourself in a way that resonates with your audience. Let's talk about that.
So one of the other mistakes that I see is that people think that when they're writing about their products or selling their products or working with them as an individual, because so often we're solopreneurs, we have personal brands, is that you're actually supposed to be talking about yourself and your product. And in all honesty, you're not. You're supposed to talk about them, your audience, and how your product impacts them, what the transformation is for them. Because to be honest, unless you have what I would call a mommy brand, no one cares if you're a mom. They might, in theory, they'll get to know you and they'll learn to love you and they'll start following your Instagram and they'll see that you're at T-ball practice. Like, that's all fine, but do not waste your valuable space on your website talking about anything that is not your ideal audience. There might be space for that towards the bottom of your about page where you're saying, here's some fun facts about me, but especially above the fold, which is within one scroll on mobile or desktop, like before you scroll, that's the part that's called above the fold. That is your prime real estate. That is where people learn who you are, what you do, and how you can impact them. And if you're not telling them how you can impact them and you're spending it saying like, hi, I'm Sam, I'm originally from Iowa, like none of that is relevant. They want to know, I will translate your expertise into sales. That's what they want to know about me.
Yeah.
So that's what goes above the fold on my website. is how I impact them. So when we talk about mindset, it's just shifting that mindset to understand that like what you do is valuable, but you need to focus more on the value rather than who you are and what you do.
I love that. And that, that's good to know, because we can bring that into every aspect of our business, right? Like whether it's our about page or our home page or our emails, like I think that we can infuse everything a little bit with some of us, but at the end of the day, people don't really care about us. They care about how we can fix their problem, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where, like in my world, I call it transformation. So there's the what, the how, and the why is usually what we want to accomplish telling people about our services if you're a service-based business. So if we talk about the what is copywriting, how, I mean, here's my process, but that doesn't matter as much to you as it does like that I'm getting it done. But the why is so that you can sell more. So if you take those principles in your own business and think about like talking about the why before you talk about the what and the how.
Okay. I love that. Because also, would you say that if we can find a way to write the copy that makes them feel the feelings as well, that can also be a win-win, right?
Yeah. There's a concept called open loop. What is it? Open loop thinking or something. But basic open loop in communication. So what we want to do with an open loop is create a scenario that people can see themselves in, but leave it a little bit open-ended. So for example, you could have 500 new leads by next Tuesday. You start to think of what those leads are going to mean for you and how, you only have 500 people on your email list now. So if you had twice as many and you launched to 500 people and made $2,000, you could launch to 1,000 and make $4,000. You start to tell yourself a story about what those things mean. So when we speak to the why and we speak to the transformation of like 2x your sales in 2023 or something, we start to fill in what that means. So they don't care as much how you're going to get them there. They'll trust your process. You can tell them about your process, but initially we're focusing on the why or the transformation.
I love it. It's important. And even our about page, right? Like should not be so much about us.
Yeah. And there should be calls to action on your about page.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sam. This is how I got to doing what I do. I'm uniquely qualified in these ways. Click here to talk more about it.
Okay. I love that. I know. And sometimes we don't think to put them call to actions on our about page. Like there's so many different areas where we can optimize our calls to action, right?
Yeah. And I think people worry about being salesy, but if people are on your website, they're curious. So just tell them how to get more information.
Yeah. And also they're there for a reason, right?
Yeah.
They want to know more. They want to learn how they can work with you probably. I know I do. Like when I go to someone's website, I'm like, okay, I'm going to check out Samantha, my nomad friend, and I want to know what kind of copy she can write for me, right? Like I went to your website for a reason. So please tell me how I can work with you. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like don't bury it in a hyperlink that's not even bright blue halfway down your whatever page. You want to make it super, super easy. And something I tell people to do is send your mom or your partner or whoever your website and set a timer and see how long it takes them to get to where you want them. Like give them a task. And if you're like, figure out how to get on my calendar. Like that's what I want this website to say. That's what I want this page to say.
Yes.
And set a timer. And if it literally takes more than 10 seconds, then you need to bump that call to action up above the fold. You need to make it big and bold, or you need to give them a reason to click that link, which typically harkens back to the why, right? Like 2x your income in 2023. I'll show you how. Schedule a call with me here. There's your above the fold, if that's
easy peasy.
Also, I don't love income claims. I don't know why I'm using that
as an example. Like, I think it just comes easy because we see them. Like you could use could also use health and wellness, like lose 10 pounds, whatever, or 20, whatever, right? Like that baby weight, whatever the case might be, but whatever it is that we do for the people.
100%. But it's like if somebody who isn't intimately familiar with how you work can't figure out where that button is and how to get on your calendar, or there's like 3 different click-throughs because then it takes them to an opt-in page and then they have to whatever. But your goal is to get them, say, on the calendar, but you're having them do all these things first. Then you need to, evaluate the process.
You need some work.
Somebody who is or isn't in your ideal audience, take a look at that for you.
Awesome. Okay, so what are some quick wins, some copy quick wins to help people start improving today? Because at the end of the day, I know sometimes I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, we have these conversations, but then what? Like, what are some actionable, maybe one step that I can, start doing the thing that we're talking about, right? And put us on that right path. So go, Samantha.
Yeah, for sure. So as a lead gen about a month ago, I opened up my calendar for a month and I said, I will review your copy for free. And I had 127 people come through that funnel. It was a wild week, but I sent every single one of those people customized looms to what their copy was that they had sent me. And there were 2 things that I saw over and over and over again. The first one was that people weren't speaking to the transformation. They were saying, here's my thing. So for example, download 100 prompts for your next nurture email. That's the what, but why? Like, never spent, like, I'll write your next 100 nurture emails in 5 minutes or less, right? Like, that's the transformation. That's what people want. They don't just want the thing. Like, you have to speak to what happens next. So in every one of your sales pages, opt-in pages, etc., start with the transformation. That needs to be above the fold on every single page. The second thing that I saw was people not having a call to action above the fold. And I have seen, now I can certifiably say hundreds, but I have seen hundreds of opt-in pages in my life and in my work. And the amount where it's like, you're trying to get people on your email list. This is something where they're trading you their data for something for free. And you're making it hard for them to give you the most basic thing. Like, you're making it hard for them to get a free thing. Don't do that. Put at least the button, if not embed the email and name form above the fold. But on every single page, you should have a call to action above the fold. On your work with me page, typically, or even a sales page, if you're selling something that's, depends on what a lot of money is to your audience, but typically we would say anything over $1,000 would be a like mid to high ticket item. People are going to visit your sales page and then they're going to leave and they're going to noodle on it. And they're going to think, man, can I live without Julie? Like, can I move forward? Or like, is it going to cost me, and then they're going to get your next email and they're going to think about it. So most people coming to your sales pages are coming for a second, third, fourth time.
Yeah.
So why should you make them scroll all the way down? If you're saying, here's the Julie Butler exclusive program, already know what you're here for, click here to apply, click here to join. Like, put it above the fold, because there's I've seen a lot of templates too in my lifetime. And so often they don't introduce the program until like halfway down the page.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's fine. You want to agitate, you want to build the need, you want to start eliciting an emotional response. But if people already know that they want to work with you, they've been chomping at the bit, you've got a wait list, people are coming back for the second or third time, make it easy. Put that call to action above the fold. And then if they're not ready, if they need the details, then they'll keep reading. But it's a mindset thing. Don't stand in the way of making your own sale.
I agree, because like when I think back now at the things that I've wanted to join or buy or whatever, like I just straight away, I look for the call to action, because chances are I've already read the page. Just make it easy for people to buy the thing. Right. And so, and I don't, like, typically I don't look at a sales page and buy right away. I come back to it, like you said, right? Like, and if you're listening to this, think back on your buying, like patterns. And did you go back to a page multiple times? And when you do go back, isn't it awesome if the button's at the top and all you got to do is click and buy, right? Like, how amazing is that, right? Or even if you have like a shop, right? Like, you can have that the button or buttons at the top, like, well, was your feedback on that? Like, say you have 3 different types of things on your shop page.
Mhm.
One is templates, one is master classes, and the other one's mini courses. Would it be smart to have 3 buttons at the top, one that said templates, one that said, master classes, and the other mini courses, and then it scrolls down to that section?
Mhm. Yeah, I've seen people do that really well. It's I wouldn't say that you should or shouldn't. Like, I think it depends on how
Test
much
it, I guess.
how much
Yes, of
content's on
course.
your page too,
Mhm.
because I personally don't, because my shop page, I have a freebies section where there's all of my free downloads and whatever. Some people are calling it their everything page now.
Okay, yep.
But I'll have basically, here's all my free stuff, and then you
Mhm.
scroll and there's all my templates, and then I have a separate work with me page that's not my shop, because
Right.
that's done for it. So I kind of
Yes. So you separate them.
separate. So
Yeah.
that's how I do it. But I've seen people do it really well with different buttons on the top of the page, or if it's a single sales page and or a work with me page, and it's like, already know you're ready to work with me, and then the CTA button will say scroll to the deets or something like that,
Oh,
it'll
cool.
just
I like
scroll
it.
scroll you to right there. So ultimately, it's just don't overcomplicate it.
I know.
Like,
And don't
and
overthink
if you're
it.
doing it
Just
yourself,
do
you don't
it.
have you don't have a
Like,
designer, you don't have a developer, you want this, and you're going to stand in your own way of success by spending the next 3 days breaking your website, which is totally something I would do because I'm not a tech girl. Like, so, I mean, maybe that's why I don't have the button at the top of my shop page too, is because I know
me
I
and
would
you
just
are
break it.
opposites. So I'm like the nerd that will spend days working on a website page because I like it and hear the copy. We make a
Yeah.
good team.
Yeah, no, I would not do that because I would break everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it just depends on, I think that's a mindset thing too, is I will see people get really hung up on like, oh, I want to do this like this other person did. And it's like, you are still subconsciously or unconsciously standing between yourself and your next sale. Don't do that. Like, just
Comparison will have the death of your business.
exactly,
Mhm.
100%. So like, yeah, just do what feels right. Done is better than perfect sometimes. But make sure that the customer experience is what you want it to be at the same time. So if you need to separate that out or have it go to a separate page, that's fine. But again, having the call to action, I'd say probably the exception is a shop page, because they're on a shop page and they know that they need to
Exactly.
scroll, and there's going to be
Exactly.
like 7 different things to choose from.
Exactly. Awesome. I love it. Speaking of freebies, you have a good
Mhm.
one for us called the opt-in audit. I love it
Yeah.
already. Tell us what that is.
Yeah, so this is my standard intro to working with me. It's free. If you have an opt-in, which would also be called a freebie or a lead magnet, whatever you call it in your world, I will audit it. So what happens is you submit your name, email, and a link to your freebie page, and I will opt in and I'll follow it for about a week. And then I will send you a Loom back where I look at your email sequence, I look at your page, and I tell you the things that you can improve, the things that you did well, and how to hopefully increase your subscriber rate, decrease the folks who unsubscribe after they get your thing, and start selling right away in a way that doesn't feel gross and salesy.
That's an amazing freebie. Like, that should be a paid for freebie.
I hear that all the time.
Yeah, that's good. That's
But,
good. So
yeah.
grab your hands on that freebie. I'm going to have the link in the show notes for everybody. Well, that was amazing. Thank you so much. So if the listeners are like, who is this Samantha? I need to know more about her and how I can maybe work with her. Where can we find you?
Yeah. So I'm an Instagram girl. I'm also on LinkedIn. My name's Samantha Burmeister. And if you can't spell it, just start on Instagram
and then go find her from there. Yeah.
Yes. On
That's
Instagram,
what I do.
I'm at nomad.copy on Instagram. And also the link to the opt-in audit is there in my in the link in bio.
The link in bio. Perfect. Perfect. And I'm going to have all of Samantha's information and website link and social media profiles, all the things in the show notes. So make sure you check it out. Follow Samantha. And I'm running after we're done. I'm going to run over and do that opt-in audit. So I think you should too. If you're listening, go grab that. Oh, sure. So thanks so much, Samantha, for this awesome conversation. I always love talking about copy because I think it's so important in our business and yeah, all the things. so many things, all the things, but copy is at the top of the list.
Yeah. It's important. Everyone has it. It's okay to do it on your own. There comes a time where it comes time to outsource or do idea generation through templates, but everyone has copy in their business. It's just a matter of refining it and making it sound like you and sell for you.
Yeah, at the end of the day, right? We're in business to sell, so let's bring it, right? Yeah, sure. I love it.
Thanks so much, Julie.
Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast. If you did, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Julie's included a link in the shows to make it nice and easy for you. And if you want to create a beautiful, profitable business of your own, make sure to go unlock your access to Julie's 6 must-have resources for female entrepreneurs. These resources will help you build and grow your business with simplicity and ease. You can find them at juliecbutler.com/freebie vault. We'll see you in the next episode.